What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Burd Files podcast. Today we are doing, I don't even know which number episode of the senior interviews class of 2020. Today I have Semaj McLeod. Is that the right
Yeah,
pronunciation?
that's it. You got it perfect. First
Samaj,
time, nice job.
Semaj McLeod with me. To be honest with you, I have no idea how I even know him, but I do, and he's super interesting. So I'll just hand it over to him.
What's going on, everyone? Semaj McLeod, as Mason said. Honored to be on here. Um, I'm from Jersey City, New Jersey. I just graduated, senior. Going to be attending NJCU in the fall. I play soccer. I have a collective. I'm working on a clothing company. So dabble in a bunch of different aspects. So excited to tell you guys a little bit about what I do.
Yeah, cool. So, let's talk a little bit about, being from Jersey, right? I know there's a lot. The first thing that comes to mind when I hear Jersey, first is New Jersey Devils. Second is
Of
the
course.
the New York City or just New York in general versus Jersey rivalry. So, I mean, how relevant is that? How real is that, like, in your life?
I mean, it's kind of funny you bring that up. Exactly where I live in Jersey City,
Yeah.
and we're right across the river from New York City. So we
Okay.
constantly get like comparisons to, Jersey City's the sixth borough. Jersey City's up and coming. It's going to be the next sixth borough. A lot of people from New York are constantly here, and a lot of people in Jersey City work and kind of have fun out in New York, especially me. I spend a lot of time in the city, so it's not really much of a rivalry as say kind of like we kind of watch each other's backs. They take from here and we take from there, and yeah, it all works out.
Okay. Cool. And you know, I think every city, you can definitely say, has their own kind of unique culture, right? So
Definitely.
what's one piece of, like, Jersey culture that you would say stands out and, it kind of has a piece in you?
I mean, to begin, Jersey City is known as the most diverse city in the United States. So I think it's crazy how you walk down the street and you see all kinds of different cultures, kind of different races. On a daily encounter and just a simple walk, you can meet 10 different people from so many different walks of life. So I think that's a big part of the culture that I'm a part of in Jersey City is kind of the ability to meet so many different people and kind of be experienced to so many different surroundings and kind of experiences. So yeah, Jersey City is great for um, Jersey City and New Jersey in general. It's just great for culture, diversity. I think that's one of the best things about living here.
Got you. So, uh, you were born and raised in Jersey, right?
Yes,
So
I was.
you've come up all the way, all of your school years, every year, K through 12, you've done in Jersey, right? And so we come up to this final year, right? This senior year. It's supposed to be the crazy year, right? You
Yeah.
you can do whatever the hell you want in classes. You go to prom, you go to all the after parties, all this crazy stuff, right? And that's not what happens, unfortunately, because of the
Not at all.
coronavirus. Yeah. So kind of like walk me through just like the initial thoughts that happened when I'm assuming they ended up moving you guys to virtual learning, right? Halfway through.
Yes.
Yeah. So kind of,
Um,
yeah, go ahead.
so with that, it was kind of funny. So many people were kind of excited about being able to like, oh, we get to leave school. It's only going to be for 2 or 3 weeks. Like we'll be right back. Senior year is going to carry on. And then eventually it just kept going and cases started getting higher. Things started getting worse. They put back our return date. Um, and and then it became super uncertain that we weren't going to be able to go back to school. So at first it didn't really bother me because I was kind of on the fence of, oh, we're going to be able to get back. Things are going to be back to normal soon. It's just kind of a preemptive measure.
Mhm.
But as kind of things kept going, cases got worse, people I knew were getting sick, reality finally set in, and I was like, things aren't going to be the same for a while, and they still aren't. So that's the hard part. But yeah, it impacted my senior year a lot, as it did for everyone else. Um, Huge plans kind of just went to the waste bin, and it's definitely been an adjustment process, but we're living, so gotta carry on.
Yeah, and so for you guys, I know here at home, they actually some of the kids did get to have a graduation. They went to a big football field. All the chairs were socially distanced. Did you guys get to have like a real? Well, I don't want to say real, right? Because it
Yeah,
nothing will ever be like that. Like
again.
yeah. But did you guys get to kind of congregate together and graduate all together, or was it like a virtual process for that as well?
Not at all. We had the regular virtual graduation. A lot of schools around me had like the kind of football field thing, or even just going back to the school and having pictures up and being able to walk across the makeshift stage with their classmates and meet the principal and get the diploma. Our school didn't have any of that, which is really disappointing, honestly. Um, it just honestly didn't feel real. I don't think anyone did, but I never in a million years would have thought that my high school career was going to end with seeing my face on a screen and my name and my graduate and my yearbook quote, and that's how it would end. It's just crazy. And I was honestly disappointed in the board's decision of not having us graduate on the football field, because that was definitely up in the air and in plans, but they didn't make it happen. And yeah, that's just strictly virtual.
Yeah. And obviously you've you've gone through all the school year, right? The graduation, high school graduation is this kind of turning point where you're going into the next part of your life, right? And
Yeah,
so you've done all of this schooling, you've gone through all of this everything, right? And would you say that not being able to have that traditional graduation where that's like, top 10 moment of a lot of people's lives, do you think that takes away
definitely.
do you think that takes away from this accomplishment that you've made of graduating? And also, do you think it kind of like dwindles everything that you've done leading up to that point?
Um, that's I've gotten that question before, and it's always been honestly hard for me to answer, because it's like when you work so hard for 4 years, you that graduation, being able to walk across the stage and dress up in your cap and gown and be with your friends and kind of go through that whole process is the relief, the kind of the it makes everything feel worth it.
Mhm.
And with being at home with my family and being able to graduate at home and kind of even during the virtual graduation, I'm like on FaceTime with some of my friends, and like we're all watching it. We're like talking in the YouTube comments. So I think it's a mix of both, because I would have liked that accomplishment of kind of being able to walk across the stage, shake my principal's hand, receive my diploma in front of all of my classmates. But it was also different to be able to sit at home with my family and sit next to my mom, who knows what I've been through in the past 4 years, sit next to my sister and experience it in that way. So it doesn't really take away from the accomplishment. It's
Mhm.
just different. And I think that's the broad term with all of this, is just different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've talked to at this point, I think 5 or 6 seniors now, and I think they've all kind of had that same mindset. I don't think anybody sees it as taking away from the accomplishment, but it's definitely a little bit disappointing, and also just kind of a
Yeah.
completely different realm
Yeah.
of what
It's
normal people, or not normal people, but like normal classes experience, right? Um,
definitely.
and so kind of going back to COVID corona, right? I mean, Jersey, you said you're right across the river from New York, and New York was at one point in time like the worst by far city, New York
Yeah.
City specifically, the worst by far in the country. And so how did that, you know, did that rub off on, you and your city?
Well, it's kind of funny you bring that up, but prior to the whole coronavirus and quarantine, I was in the city every single weekend, every single Saturday, Friday and Saturday actually, working on stuff with my collective, my team, because we're kind of based out in the city. We have members from all over come, and the city's the best place to meet because there's so much open space, so many open ideas, so much to do.
Yeah.
So it was definitely weird to go from being in the city once a week for almost a month straight to not being able to go to the city at all, because you're scared for your health, you're scared for your family. So that definitely impacted me a lot. because it's honestly a place that I love, a place that I love going, a place that I love to kind of be able to gather my thoughts and create. So it was definitely weird to see kind of my almost second home just be so torn apart and brought to the place that I couldn't even get to go there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Okay. And I know I literally said probably 10 minutes ago that we were gonna stay on topic of like this list that we have here, but just since we're hot on the collective, talk to me more about what that is and what the vision is and how it just kind of came to be.
Well, with the collective, we're called November 11th, and it all started with a simple Instagram comment. Honestly, Jaden Smith was having a show in New York City, and somebody commented, "Hey, I have nobody to go to the New York City show with. Does anybody want to go with me?" And I commented at him and I said, "Hey, like I'd totally go with you." And then I was like, send me a message." Then from there, a bunch of people kind of followed suit and said, "Oh, add me to the group chat. Let's make a group chat. We should all go as a group." I ended up posting the information, kind of like a NYC group meetup on Reddit, Discord, Twitter. Kind of just like shoot me a message if you want to just meet up with a bunch of people, go to the New York City show and just vibe.
Wow.
Um, we all came together. It was amazing energy from the start. We had opening acts from the show in our group chat send us messages saying like, keep doing what you're doing. This is amazing. Like, can't wait to see you guys. So it was just great energy. We met up at the concert. Everything went well. We all stayed together, took pictures. It was, I keep saying it, but the energy was amazing. After the concert, it wasn't something that we wanted to let go of. It's kind of something that we knew that we could make something special. So everybody in the group chat kind of had a different niche. We had photographers, videographers, people with clothing brands, DJs, musicians, artists. So we kind of just all put our abilities together and we're working together to just create something dope.
Okay. And so am I think I heard that right. You commented on a complete stranger's post or a complete
Yes.
stranger's comment. And so this whole
Yes.
thing came out of you just a random guy on Instagram, you commenting on that, and then it just blossomed out of that.
Yes, literally.
And then
That's all it was.
you've been meeting with these people, or well, obviously there's been a hiatus, but you met with these people once a week for around a month.
Yeah, probably more than that.
Wow.
Every weekend in the city, we actually we co-hosted an event with the Misfits rep group in the city. Kind of just a meetup session and vibe. We had a bunch of pizza. Just Water sponsored the event, brought us like a bunch of Just Water cases. We had Misfit rep artists come through, and it was a great event because the like the word energy is just on my mind right now.
Yeah.
But the kind of just energy that was in that room is like so many people came together and wanted to like do something positive for themselves. It was a Friday night. There's definitely a lot of other things people could have been doing than like meeting up with a bunch of randoms, people that they don't know who just want to like sit around, listen to music, talk about what they're doing, create. And that's what it was. We've had photo shoots for brands. We've worked on members in the group have collaborated on tracks together. It's just a family. Like that's a big word I would say is family. It's honestly amazing that it all started from an Instagram comment.
I've seen like some of your tagged posts where you have like Jaden Smith's is it Sire or am I
Yes, Sire, Iris,
yeah.
two alter egos,
Yeah. So, obviously he's an inspiration for you, right?
huge inspiration.
And I've seen from some of like past things, something that we'll go further into the Pretzi that you made in 2016. You had, Kanye as a inspiration. You had, Tyler the Creator, ASAP Rocky. So can you kind of just tell me like what about them, gets to you? What about them inspires you?
So this is also a question I'm asked a lot because with these specific artists, especially ASAP Rocky, Tyler, Frank Ocean's on the list, and Jaden Smith, it's for me, it's all about supporting those who are different, and they've always been known to be different. Uh, with Tyler, it's like from the start of his
Hmm.
career, he was always the brash and bold kind of artist who wasn't really going with the trend of rap at the time, but he was doing his own thing and he did it well. And that's what I appreciate. With ASAP Rocky, it's like he has the ability to he I think the route he kind of took was, especially with testing, he made a lot less mainstream music, but kind of delved deep into stylistically making music that he enjoyed. He constantly talks about, I don't make music to play on the radio, I make music that I want to listen to. I think that's kind of amazing because it's so easy for artists to want to get caught up in kind of like, I want radio plays, I want airtime, I want to have the most sales. Testing wasn't the most amazing album sale wise, but Rocky was content with it because it was music that he enjoyed. With Jaden, who's probably my favorite artist out of the three, and it's not even because of just his music. I've always loved the fact that he was different. He wears skirts. He's in touch with his feminine side. He cries in music videos. Uh, that's that's so amazing to me because I feel like um, in headspace wise, I feel like that's kind of what I want to do is just be different, put out what I like. See, that's the thing with all three of these artists. It's being different, putting out what you enjoy, and hoping that others enjoy it too, the same way that you do. It's not about gaining all the popularity, making all the sales. It's about doing what makes you happy. And clearly, all four of those artists, Frank Ocean also, is the biggest thing about them is that they do what works for them, not for sales and for kind of popularity.
Yeah. And so you talk about, how they're kind of weird, right? They put themselves out there. They're different and
Definitely.
they embrace themselves, right? They're not worried about what other people think. They just want to be happy with what they're doing with themselves. So what do you think, what part of you, right, is kind of on that same track? What do you think in you right now is that different part, that unique part, that weird part that you feel like that maybe some people don't like about you, but that you're happy with yourself?
Well, I would honestly start with attributing it to my style. Even going back to we talked about it before. My Instagram feed is all pink.
Yeah.
Um, you don't really see, first of all, a lot of guys kind of get deep into their Instagram feed, making sure pictures match and colors match, but that's what's comfortable to me. I love the color pink. It's honestly my favorite color, and it's so much of a stereotype that, oh, pink's like this is old, but pink's such a girl color.
Hmm.
There's so much stigma placed on certain colors and certain styles. I'm huge into tie dye. I'm huge into bright colors. My fashion is definitely different,
Yeah.
and in the past, I've always received comments of like, "Oh, Semaj could be like gay because of the way my style is, kind of the fact that I'm so personable, can talk to anyone. It automatically gives off like gay vibes because I'm different. And it bothered me, but then I kind of reset my mind to look at it as a positive. Not that it's it's really anything bad, but just the fact that I can be different and be comfortable and not really have to worry about what people say because again, I enjoy it. It's something that I like to do. I like to wear pink. I like tie dye. Like that's my style.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, and that's definitely something I noticed when I looked at your feed. Like I saw the pink. That was actually a question that I had, specifically was, why the pink aesthetic, but now I know. And so kind of like in your fashion sense, right? You talked about how that's different for you. When did you kind of start getting into fashion? When did you kind of like decide, okay, I'm gonna stop wearing, or maybe you've always been into fashion, but for me, I used to wear like I mean, I still really don't care about what I wear. Like I wear like
No, I
thrifted
definitely
thrifted
have
stuff, but
I have those days where I don't really care about what I wear too, don't worry.
yeah.
But,
Yeah.
it kind of came about, once I got my first job. My first job, I started when the summer before my freshman year, and before then, I was kind of just as everyone does when they're younger, they go with what their parents buy,
Mhm.
and that's really about it. It's like you don't have that many options style wise.
Yeah.
But once and this was around the time where Kanye was coming out with like his Life of Pablo merch, around the time where kind of like dad hats were super popular.
Yeah.
Uh, Long sleeves in the summer were also popular for some strange reason. But so that summer I kind of really embraced the fact that I had my own money to purchase the clothes that I wanted,
Mhm.
and I kind of completely rearranged my style. I kind of saw what I liked, what I disliked, um, and that's when it came about. It was just the ability to kind of have the freedom to make my own choices fashion wise, and then as I continued having a job throughout high school, that obsession with clothes kind of just grew and grew until pretty much my whole closet is tie dye or bright colors. So that's the whole thing for me.
Yeah. And you know, so you going into freshman year, you start to embrace this. You have your own money. I can get what I want, and I'm gonna wear what I want. And now, 4 years later, we're here, 2020, and you are starting a brand. I don't not 100% sure how to pronounce it. La Mulberry or
Mulberry. So yeah,
La
it pretty much
Mulberry.
just rolls right off the tongue. But yeah, so starting a brand has always been kind of vision vision for me. Like that's always been a goal I've wanted to make happen. Um, I work with some having the collective as a resource has really put me in a position to meet the right people and meet people who can help me create and just stretch my mind to kind of put out the best product possibly. I'm really glad I waited until later in high school to kind of hone in on my craft because this is something that has been on my mind probably since my sophomore year.
Mhm.
I've always wanted to be able to make and produce my own clothes, wear my own clothing, go out and be able to say, "Hey, I made this shirt. This is my group. This is what I did, and this is what I'm comfortable with." So it kind of just it was definitely something that was further during quarantine. I had a lot of time to think about what I wanted to do after all of it, and as it's coming to an end, and now it's time for to make it happen.
Okay. And so I'm looking at the page right now. You and Brian's Flair, right? Um
Yes,
are going
Brian.
into this together. So how like are you guys have you guys known each other a long time? How did this kind of relationship, how did you guys come together and say, okay, we're gonna start this brand now?
So my relationship with Brian is it's honestly an amazing one because um he we became friends sophomore year, and it all started with him kind of just shooting me a message on Instagram like, yo, I'm kind of getting into photography. You have a good platform, and let's shoot one day. We kind of just went out, shot a few photos for a bit. They were fired. He's an amazing photographer. Um, and our relationship just grew from there. He's a huge Jaden Smith fan, so car rides with him are always great. We listen to the same music. He's super open minded, and it's it's just it's crazy because I've always read about kind of in business, you have two opposite ends of the spectrum in a partnership, but I feel like our partnership works so well because of the fact that we're so similar.
Yeah.
We're always on the like I'll shoot him an idea about, yo, like we should make this shirt. We should do things like this, maybe switch it up this way. And he's like, yo, I was thinking the same thing. Like I already started it. Here's what I'm thinking. So it just works so well. And it's crazy how our relationship or partnership just started as like a photographer models thing and then it grew from there.
The next thing I want to like kind of ask, right, is because you guys are brand new, basically. You know, the first drop
Yes.
hasn't happened quite yet, but obviously you have a vision for this, right? Like you like fashion, you started this brand, you're motivated. What are the aspirations for this brand? What's the vision for this? Let's say 3 years down the line, maybe even just 1 year down the line. Where do you want to take this?
Um, so when I created Mulberry and when I came up with the idea, the question I had to start with asking myself was, what exactly, kind of what you're asking right now, what exactly do I want from this? Do I want to kind of just put art out into the world and kind of not clutter the earth, but just add more art to the world? Because there's so much art out there. What am I going to be doing differently?
Mhm.
Um, and my answer to that was kind of just really from the start, I want to be something known. I want to get big and get on a bigger platform from every step I take. So with this, I want to grow as a person in kind of business, marketing, but also to grow the brand. I want it to be at a point where people are constantly purchasing Mulberry merch or constantly wearing merch. I want to be able to go outside and see people that I know or people just in general wearing my clothes. So that's kind of like the big end goal is like just building that platform to the point where people just not people that aren't my friends kind of wearing and representing. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. I can definitely relate because with this podcast, right, I have like 70 something subscribers, and
Hmm.
um it's cool to have my friends supporting. I love them for that. But
Of
when I
course.
get like comment from somebody I don't know, right?
Exactly.
Or a message on Instagram from somebody I don't know saying giving me ideas or critiquing me or just showing some love, that's where I'm like, okay, this is
That's
big
where
because
yeah, this is where it really matters.
yeah, because I've reached a market that's outside of just my circle, and that's where
Exactly.
yeah, and that's what always kind of was my hope. But but yeah, so we've covered obviously not every aspect of it, but your clothing brand. So I kind of want to go back in time. Okay, let's go to 2016. We talked about this a little bit. You
Oh
have
man.
this Pretzi thing. I don't know. I think I'm saying that right, Pretzi. And
Yeah.
so you made this. I guess this is probably what, eighth grade, freshman year, kind of,
Eighth
um,
grade. Yeah.
in that realm.
Yeah.
And so some key points that came that I
Oh man.
some key points that I took from this is that first of all, you want to live in Spain. Um, that was what your view was in 2016. Second of all, soccer is just like you ride or die, right?
Oh man.
If I'm not lining up next to Ronaldo in 5 years, we're just done. We're done.
Oh man.
You also, said that in 20 years, I want to be sports broadcasting. That was another thing that you definitely put out there. So 4 years ago, you talked about sports broadcasting, Spain, and soccer. 4 years later, uh, what are you talking about? What are you putting on that Prezi?
Um, 4 years later, I'm talking about damn. 4 years later, I'm definitely not um moving to Spain. The end goal is California. I definitely want to get out there and just create, expand my vision. Uh, and honestly, I've shifted my focus a little bit away from soccer than my past self was kind of into. Um, Soccer's always came as like my first love. Um, it was amazing for a while, especially when I was younger, kind of being able to just get out there and play the sport that I love whenever I wanted, um, become a better player over time. And yeah, that's kind of how it was when I was younger. Um, as I got older, I honestly did lose a little bit of love for the game because of just I did get injured a few times. Um, High school soccer really wasn't that fun for me, and that's honestly a common idea that I hear is that high school sports makes you lose love for the game, and I can honestly attest to that. I just didn't always have the best coaches, didn't have the best resources that made me the most successful player, and it just it happened. So soccer is not as much of my life anymore as it used to be. I still love the game. I'm still planning on pursuing it into the near future, but it's definitely not as much a part of my life as it was.
Okay. And how about this sports broadcasting thing? Because that was like in 20 years, this is what I'm gonna be doing, right? So what are we looking at there? Are we still doing that in 15 years?
So for the sports broadcasting thing, it's kind of one of two goals on the table for me. It's either sports broadcasting or some kind of job in sports management, hopefully a GM. But it's like sports broadcasting has always been like the two things that I love the most. It's like talking and sports. And I
Yeah,
think anybody who loves sports would love to become a broadcaster, especially for their
absolutely.
favorite team. So my goal has always been like, I want to be the voice you hear when the New Jersey Devils come on TV.
Hmm.
So that's always a thought in my brain is like I want to pursue that. But I think um, with a sports management path, it could help me not only get there, but also help me with my business endeavors with Mulberry, the collective, all things that I can see myself doing into the future or yeah, further into the future. So that's definitely the path that I'm taking as of right now as I'm majoring in it in college. Um, so yeah, sports management, sports broadcasting kind of neck and neck as of right now.
Okay. And so let's talk about college, right? So you just said majoring in sports management, right? And you said you talked about New Jersey City University. That's where you're going to be you're committed to for the next I think what 1 or 2 years, yeah, at least two,
Probably.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so New Jersey City University, obviously a local college university for you. So why did you choose to go to NJCU as opposed to a larger university or college straight out of high school?
So my decision to go to NJCU was firstly backed by money because it's a pretty good school and I'm not paying anything.
Yeah.
So that's pretty nice. Um, and then also the fact that it's so close to, I'm very comfortable here. I
Mhm.
think I mentioned that before, but being in Jersey City is where I'm comfortable. I feel because it's so close to the city and proximity with the city, um, it gives me a chance to really grow as I become older. Uh, every year that I kind of got older, my experiences in life definitely changed. So I kind of, when I was a sophomore, I'd go to the city just for like maybe once or twice, not even once or twice a month, maybe a few times a year. Then junior year, I was there more for concerts and events. By my senior year, I was there constantly every weekend to kind of produce and do what I need to do to get myself where I need to be.
Mhm.
So I definitely see that something that I need to use to my advantage because there are a lot of people, honestly, all over the world who wish they were in or close to New York City. And I'm
Yeah.
blessed to have that opportunity. So that's definitely something I want to take advantage of while I'm here and while I have the ability to. The other thing about NJCU is I honestly believe that with going there for 1 or 2 years, I'm able to keep and maintain the same lifestyle that I currently have, which is working for me, and I don't want to change it. And I know a lot of people are like, hey, like college is all about growing and changing and kind of experiencing new things. But I kind of, I'm very happy where I am right now. Um, so I kind of want to continue on that path and make sure I'm settled and I am completely comfortable with my career and kind of just where I'm going in the future before I make any decision that could put it on the wrong path.
Yeah. I know some people who also have stayed home, went to community college for a couple of years, and then ended up transferring to quite good schools who are much happier than people who,
Exactly.
did 4-year degrees at way, way away from home.
Yeah, it's such a common theme that everyone's like, "Oh, like, whenever I'm picking colleges, I wanna go as far as possible. I wanna be away from my parents. I wanna go to a party school." And, yeah, that's cool and all, but I kind of really delved deep into the kind of repercussions of doing that, especially with COVID-19 kind of completely changing the way life would be in the fall. It
Mhm.
was really a decision that I had to sit down and think about with myself and make sure I was making the right move before I paid for it in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, obviously you said end goal is Cali, but 2 years after NJCU or however long you decide to stay there, right? You plan on transferring to, you said, Seton Hall, right?
Yeah.
So that's also in New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yes.
So how, like, what's the proximity to where you're at to Seton Hall, and what kind of draws you to Seton Hall? Um, you know.
So so Seton Hall is about a 45 to 50-minute drive from where I live currently.
Mhm.
Um, and the thing about Seton Hall is that Seton Hall is the place that I honestly believe will get me where I need to be in the sports business field. They have opportunities and internships with the New Jersey Devils, which has always been a dream for me.
Mhm.
Prudential Center, New York Red Bulls, and a huge amount of teams that would put me in a secure spot for the future. Um, so that's definitely something that I want to make happen because I know that's going to get me where I need to be. The other thing about Seton Hall is kind of the sense of community that I felt with people that I met from there. Throughout my college search, I kind of got in a bunch of these like Facebook groups for meeting people at different colleges, and uh, no other school I kind of maintained that kind of connection with people than I did with Seton Hall.
Mhm.
Some of my closest friends I talk to on a daily basis are going there and are people that I met through these Facebook groups. And instantly I just felt that connection and it's something that I want to keep. So I think by attending Seton Hall in 2 years, that's something that'll definitely grow and something that I really want to be a part of.
Got you. And you we talked about you're staying local for a little bit, right? And so that's definitely, you're going to be a little bit older, more prepared. But do you feel right now that you're prepared for college, the workload, the kind of different culture that is there as opposed to high school, the kind of self-reliance you have to have, accountability, and the independence um, you just kind of have to take on. Do you think you're prepared for that aspect of college right now?
It's kind of funny you mentioned that. Right before I got on call with you, I was reading this article about the high school that I graduated from, it being ranked fourth in the state of New Jersey and ranked 63rd in the nation. So it's one of the hardest and best schools in New Jersey. And honestly, a common theme that I hear from graduating students from McNair High School I graduated from is that McNair is harder than college. McNair prepares you so well for college because of how difficult it is. You get to college and you're like, I've already been through this, so I know what I have to do.
Yeah.
So with that, I honestly feel prepared to a degree. I know the kind of like stereotype around college is like it's so easy to slack off, and I definitely think that's gonna tie in a little bit, especially kind of having such a long layoff of actually going to school and being able to get to class and
Mhm.
get to class on time and being awake for class. So I feel like kind of the first little bit of time for the first few months, it's going to be really hard because, well, I haven't sat in a classroom for 7 months. I haven't woke up early to get to class in 7 months. So it's definitely going to be an adjustment. And barring we're going to be on campus, it's going to be it's definitely going to be hard for a while. But I feel like aside from that, I would definitely say I'm prepared and I'm ready to kind of see what college has to offer.
In New Jersey, right? Like you're able to be yourself there. And
Yes.
we also talked about California and the end goal, or not the end goal, but eventually being in California, right? What do you think is going to happen when you go to Cali? Like, how do you think you're going to be able to adjust?
Well, from a lot of people I've always talked to, they always tell me I have like a such a Cali vibe to me, whatever that means. I don't know if it's a tie dye tees or music taste or whatever it is. Love of sunsets. It's just something honestly I see in myself, but a lot of people see it too. Uh, the reason why I want to get out to Cali is because of the fact that I think it has the hype of New York City, which I'm used to. Everybody wants to get out to Cali at some point and kind of
Hmm.
see the Hollywood sign and go on the Walk of Stars. It's just it's such a place to be. But the thing that I also like about Cali is it has the hype of New York, but it's not as much the speed of New York. It's a lot more kind of slowed down and chill. A lot of stars have the ability to kind of just walk around and chill and be able to live their life. As on the other hand of New York, you can't really do that because you're mobbed by paparazzi. Not to say that you're not being mobbed by paparazzi in LA, but it's on a much lesser scale. So I think being so used to the speed of New York, um, but also having the hype in California, but just slowed down a little bit would honestly be good for me and something I could definitely get used to.
I do have a couple of things just to kind of go through, capping off your high school experience.
Of
What
course.
what was your biggest change, you think, from your freshman year to now?
Um, I think the biggest change for me was kind of my mindset throughout high school. In high school, I kind of came in as like, it's weird to say it now because I kind of just talk so much about how comfortable I am in my own skin, but I didn't really start high school off that way. Um, I kind of came in really kind of not sure where I fit into the school, especially, but kind of what my goal was. Um, what did I need to do to kind of make it? And I think 4 years later, I've not only put myself in a position where I can see how I could become successful and do what I need to do to get there, but also reflect on the time where I didn't and kind of thank the lucky stars that I figured it out because yeah, it was just a real adjustment in mindset. It was weird. I don't know. I was kind of talking to a bunch of friends and they're like, Semaj, you're so different senior year and not in a bad way,
Mhm.
just like confidence wise, just just everything because of the fact that I feel like I have a lot of good going for me right now and I feel great honestly. I feel like I'm making things happen. I'm doing what's making me happy. So I think that's just something that develops steadily throughout high school and hopefully it keeps going.
Yeah. And obviously you've grown a lot, right? And you're happy with yourself right now. You're having a good time despite the circumstances, right? But what is the worst experience, right? Like we've talked a lot about the good stuff going on, right? But what is the
Mhm.
worst experience you've had in your high school? And it could be one or two, because I know there's a lot of messed up stuff that happens, but just give me a couple like terrible, terrible things that happened to you in your high school career.
Oh man. Well, I think one of the roughest things in high school was my first F, my freshman year. Like I haven't forgotten it at all. Going into high school, I was pretty much like a straight A student, A's and B's mostly, but pretty strong A's. So I got into like the super smart school in Jersey City, and I knew it'd be an adjustment because I was kind of going from being like one of the smartest kids in my middle school to being in a school of literally all smart kids. So I kind of came in and I took Chinese my freshman year as my language. And I failed Chinese my first marking period of high school for literally the first F I've ever gotten. And yeah, that honestly broke me. It was a lot because I just wasn't used to. failure in school. So
Mhm.
it's just weird for that kind of just happen, and especially happening in the first marking period. Kind of happy I got that out the way early.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm privileged enough to say I have not hit that F point yet. Hopefully it doesn't
Lucky you.
come. Hopefully it
Lucky
doesn't
you.
come.
It was rough.
Yeah. Um so now give me the best experience that you've had in your high school career.
Wow, that's see that one's a lot harder to pick. I think I'd have to group all of all of my concert experiences into one kind of just best experience. Uh, so for me, I work a lot, and my the way I see it honestly is there's people who like to spend money on clothing and kind of like materialistic things, which is totally fine. I totally
Yeah.
understand that. For me, I much rather go to an event, go see an artist I like, go see the Devils play. I'm uh all
Word.
about lasting memories. I don't know what happened. Lasting memories. So I've gone to a lot of concerts throughout high school. Some of my favorites have been to Yams Day, ASAP Rocky, Tyler the Creator was there.
Yeah.
I went to the Igor tour in September where Jaden Smith opened, ASAP Rocky came out, and I saw Frank Ocean after. That was probably the best night of my life, honestly. Um, September 12th, I met a lot of members of kind of just groups that I'm a part of now, different people I talk to on a daily basis from the city at the concert. So, yeah, amazing concerts. I've seen Jaden Smith 5 times throughout high school, seen Travis Scott a bunch, seen Rex Orange County a few times, 21 Pilots. So concerts are my thing. So all of my concerts are honestly best experiences.
I kind of want to know, you said Jaden opened, right? And Frank Ocean came out. Just kind of like take me through that experience because I just want to
Well,
understand what you were feeling.
well, it was actually ASAP Rocky came out and
ASAP
Jaden
Rocky.
Jaden opened for yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, and I mentioned it before. We kind of had a whole spiel about it, but those are literally four of my favorite artists that I saw in one night. So honestly, it was just crazy for me. And kind of the way that day worked, I had school and I had a soccer game right after school. Um, and I scored, I think twice. I don't exactly remember, once or twice in that game. Got on the bus, went back to school, got home, showered, took the train straight to Madison Square Garden. Literally, as I'm walking in, Jaden starts performing. So it's like everything just went so perfectly that day. It was like a perfect script. It's like Jaden's performing, Tyler puts on an amazing show, brings out ASAP Rocky for Who That Boy. I'm leaving the show and there's a huge crowd of people, and all of a sudden Frank Ocean walks out of the crowd. It's like something something like I could have written in like a movie or my perfect dream. But that day was literally probably the best day of my life. Like I will always remember that day. It was September 12th. Like it was just an amazing day. So yeah, honestly, yeah, that was probably the best day of my life. I honestly like I got home and I actually like showered and kind of just got in bed, and I honestly didn't know if that day was real. like like I was not sure if everything I witnessed in one day was legit. It was just such a crazy day. It was honestly perfectly scripted from the beginning to the end. It was just nuts. It
Yeah.
was honestly amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. You know what I'm realizing right now is I completely skipped something over that we didn't talk about yet, and that is the June 6th protest, as well as just everything that's going on. So June 6th protest, right? You were actually a speaker.
Yes.
And was it one of your classmates? I think Adriana Williams that put together the whole
Yes.
thing. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
Uh, so the protest was put together by the Black Diaspora Club of McNair, which I'm a part of.
Mhm.
So all of the members had a hand in kind of um, putting it together and making it happen. I was, again, the person who spread the word out, hopped on Reddit, hopped on Twitter, hopped on Instagram, kind of just pushing the word out, making sure people knew about what was happening because it was the first or one of the first few protests in Jersey City, and we wanted to make it the big one. So we definitely spread the word, got the message out. I think the calculated numbers for attendance was 4,000, almost 5,000 people.
Wow.
So yeah, I was one of the speakers. I spoke in front of 4,000 or 5,000 people, and it was really overwhelming. But I think the fact that so many people were there and so many people shared my mind on what was going on, had my anger, had my passion about what was going on, was what kept me going and kind of got me through it, because it was definitely a lot.
I think, there's a lot of respect, that I have for you being able to go up there and speak your mind, because there's, in this time especially, there's a lot of people fighting for the right reasons,
Exactly.
right? There's also a lot of people who are fighting for the wrong reasons. And
Exactly.
to be able to get up there, make yourself vulnerable and speak about something that you believe in, even when there's so many eyes on you that could be looking down on you,
Exactly.
there's a lot of respect that I have for you in that.
Thank you.
And yeah, so just to kind of completely cap off everything that we've talked about here, as a high school graduate, you've gotten the Fs, you've been a speaker at a protest, you've had some insane experiences, right? You've been through it all. What is some advice that you give to incoming high schoolers on how to get through these next 4 years?
Um, yeah, that's a hard one. You're ending off with a hard one. Um, First and foremost, you're gonna hear this a lot. So cliche, and I hate to say it again, but just be yourself. Honestly, it's like I um I talked about how I wasn't exactly the most confident, or kind of came in unsure of who I was and who I was going to be. But I think once mentally I trained myself to be myself and be confident in what I did and what I believed in and who I was as a person, that's when it all changed for me. That's when I kind of got on that right track of, I'm doing my thing and I'm going to get here and I'm going to be the person who puts me there. Not to say that you're not going to need help on the way. Definitely reach out to mentors, older people um, parents, whoever. But it all starts with you. And that's the biggest thing, is you got to believe in yourself. Again, cliche, but it's like, if you can, other people can will things for you all you want. But at the end of the day, you're going to be the one to make it happen. So just believe in yourself and do you. That's literally it. That's about it.
Cool. Is there anything you want to plug? Your Instagram, your brand, anything? Just say it, and I can. I'll put up a graphic of everything.
All right. So yeah, follow my main Instagram at Semaj, Semaj, James backwards. MCL30D. It's my main Instagram. My clothing brand's Instagram, LAMULBERRY. That's us. Can follow my business partner, my guy at Brian's Flair. We're working on Mulberry together, and yeah, that's really about it.
Yeah. All right, man. Once again, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate
Thank you for having me.
you taking some time. So,
Of course.
yeah, have a good one, man.
Same to you.